Taking a quick look at global markets over Monday, as well as how Asian markets have opened early on Tuesday. Now the Dow rebounded over 200 points in early trade on Monday, and the S&P 500 too was up over 0.25% to close trade on Monday. The Dow was up around 0.75% in trade on Monday. Good news for both these indices as they lost on all 5 days last week, and they were in the losses on all 5 days last week. So a good welcome rebound for both these indices. The Nasdaq Composite though closed absolutely flat and was trading and closed with a negative bias and was down around 7 basis points to close trade on Monday. Moving on to European markets. European markets also took a cue from the US markets and have risen on Monday. The stock 600 index was up around 0.33% in trade on Monday. The German benchmark DAX was also up around 60 basis points in close of trade on Monday. Mind you, the DAX lost almost 1% or over 1% last week, across last week in trade. The UK FTSE 100 was up over 0.5% in trade on Monday after being absolutely flat on Friday and losing 1.5% across last week. So really good news in reversing some of those losses. The French CAC 40 was up around 20 basis points, reversing some of Friday's losses. So good news for European investors as well as markets rebound in Europe. Moving on to how Asia performed yesterday and how Asia is looking today. Both Chinese tech and EV stocks fell due to regulatory fears in trade yesterday, as the Shanghai rose and the Hang Seng index fell. Now the Nikkei continued its journey upwards and was up around 22 basis points in trade yesterday. The index was up around 0.5% in early trade today as well. The Hang Seng index has closed in the red and was down around 1.5% in trade yesterday. The ASX 200 also closed around 25 bips higher in trade yesterday, but was down around 0.4% in early trade today. The Kospi closed flat with a positive bias and was up around 7 basis points. The index rose around 20 points in early trade today and was up around 0.2% in early trade. The SGX Nifty futures closed up around 0.33% in trade yesterday and was down and was up around 20 basis points in early trade today. Among commodities across the board fell in trade yesterday, with the London Metal Index down around 1.33%, snapping the 2 consecutive days of gains which it made to end last week. Oil also continued to climb and was at around $70.67 a barrel, with Brent at around 73 $2/3 a barrel. Gold continued to edge upwards as bond yields continued to contract, and largely driven by the focus on US inflation. So gold stood at roughly $17.93 an ounce in early trade today. Commodities have ended yesterday lower, with LME copper down around 1/3% and the DCE iron ore down almost 1%. Moving lastly to currency, bonds and crypto. The dollar index gained around 0.1% on Monday, its second consecutive day of gains. Good news for the dollar. The index is absolutely flat though, with a negative bias in early trade today, and was down around 3 basis points in early trade. Treasury yields have fallen as they start the week. The US 10-year as well as 30 years treasury yields have fallen, and the US 10-year treasury yields currently stand at around 1.336% to start the day off. The Bitcoin as well has fallen and is down around 1.5% at roughly the US dollars 45,000 mark. That's a roundup of global commodities and markets.